Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into Virginia Woolf's very first novel, The Voyage Out. It came out in 1915.
Yeah, her debut. And right away, people knew it was something different. One critic famously called it a wild swan among good gray geese.
A wild swan. I like that.
hmm It sort of hints at that unique Woolfian depth, even though it's, wrapped in a more traditional story structure than her later stuff.
So our mission today, if you will, is to unpack how this story, it seems straightforward. A young woman sails to South America, how it actually functions as this really complex metaphor.
Right. It's about her inner journey, really. This struggle for a woman to figure out who she is, pushing against, well, the immense pressure of British society at the time. Edwardian society.
And it all starts on the ship, the Euphrosyne. That's Rachel Vinrace's father's ship. She's the main character, 24 years old.
And she's traveling with her aunt and uncle, Helen and Ridley Ambrose. They're quite intellectual.
The ship's name, Euphrosyne. That's significant, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Euphrosyne, one of the three graces from Greek myth, represents joy, mirth, beauty.
So Woolf kind of sets up this expectation of classical harmony.
Only to tear it down.
Pretty much, yeah. The whole novel sort of interrogates and critiques the rigid social rules hidden beneath that idealized surface.
Okay, let's talk about Woolf's own background here because it feels really relevant. Born 1882, steeped in this Victorian intellectual world, her father had this huge library.
She read constantly. History, literature, philosophy, everything. But, and this is crucial, unlike her brothers, she never went to university.
Completely excluded.
Right. And that experience, that denial of formal education for women, you can feel it fueling her critique of society. This idea that women were deliberately kept, well, limited.
Compliant.
Exactly. And you see that critique right from the start in how she describes London as the ship pulls away.
Oh, it's such powerful writing. At first, it's this swarm of lights with a pale yellow canopy. Sounds almost exciting.
And then it shifts, doesn't it? Yeah, it becomes sinister. London is a crouched and cowardly figure, a sedentary miser, and eternally burnt, eternally scarred.
Wow. Not exactly a loving farewell to the homeland. It's depicted as this source of decay almost, stagnation.
And that stagnant place produced Rachel. The book is very clear about her stay at 24. She's ignorant and somewhat helpless.
Her education was very specific. Music, maybe some art, but absolutely nothing about fundamental things.
Like what?
Well, the text says she doesn't know the shape of the earth, the history of the world, how trains worked, or money was invested. Basically anything practical or worldly.
And you're saying this wasn't just an accident of her upbringing?
The novel strongly implies it's deliberate. A societal strategy, keep women powerless and innocent.
Yeah.
Train them for, pleasing aesthetics, not for having actual agency in the world.
Ready to be wives.
Which brings us to the Dalloways.
Yes, Richard and Clarissa Dalloway. They board the ship partway through.
And they are the absolute embodiment of the system Rachel's caught in. Richard, the politician, he's all about practical action.
Doesn't he have that line about helping Lancashire girls get fresh air being more important than poetry?
Exactly. More important than writing Keats and Shelley. He dismisses art entirely.
And his relationship with Clarissa, it's fascinating politically speaking. He sort of needs her to remain uninformed, doesn't he?
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
He actually says he can only stand the cynicism and strain of his public life because he can return to Clarissa.
Knowing what?
Knowing that her illusions have not been destroyed. Her innocence, her naivety is like his safe space, his emotional refuge.
That's incredibly cynical when you think about it. He needs her ignorance so he can handle being informed.
It perfectly illustrates the unequal terms of marriage and society that Woolf is dissecting. Clarissa is adept at playing her social role, but at a cost.
She shields him from the world's harsh truths.
And this unequal dynamic is exactly what Rachel is about to crash headlong into.
Right, because Richard Dalloway does something quite significant. He kisses Rachel.
A passionate kiss. And for Rachel, who is so unprepared for that kind of direct male attention and desire, it's completely destabilizing.
Catastrophic, you said earlier.
Yeah. It cracks open infinite possibilities, the text says. But the immediate feeling is just shock, virtual paralysis. She's trembling, holding onto the ship's rail. The physical pain of the emotion is overwhelming.
Just from a kiss, it shatters that sheltered identity she had.
It forces her to confront male desire, not as some abstract idea, but as a real physical force aimed right at her. And she has zero tools to deal with it.
And this confusion, this shock, it bleeds into her dreams.
Immediately.
Yeah.
That very night, she has this terrifying nightmare. She's in a long tunnel, whose walls ooze with damp.
Oh,
And there's a little deformed man in there, and she's being chased by barbarian men.
good grief. What does she do?
Her only defense in the dream is to lie still and cold as death.
Stillness as defense. That imagery, the damp tunnel, the threatening men, it feels like the flip side of that crouched London she left. The hidden horror beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And it connects straight to the novel's big recurring symbol,
Hmm.
the sea.
Okay, how does the sea fit in here?
Woolf constantly links Rachel's internal state, her fear, her confusion, her desire with the idea of the bottom of the sea, or just deep darkness.
Like sinking into it.
Yeah, it becomes this imagined place of an absence of feeling, a black vacuum that could just absorb all the turmoil and bring her back to stillness, calm.
So the sea isn't just about the journey outward, it's also this potential internal escape. Oblivion, almost.
Both adventure and oblivion, exactly. Freedom, maybe, but a terrifying kind of freedom found in non-existence.
But the kiss, even though it terrified her, it does spark something else too, an awakening.
Indirectly, yes. Her Aunt Helen actually steps in, talks her through it, offers a different way to understand what happened outside the usual, patriarchal assumptions.
And that leads to this big moment for Rachel.
It does. The sort of Declaration of Independence. She has this sudden, powerful realization about her own self-worth.
What does she say?
She realizes she can be her own person, which, sounds maybe normal to us, but the sources stress this was somewhat revolutionary for a young woman then.
To even think that way.
Right. And she pushes back against everything, saying, I can be myself. She even stutters it out. In spite of you, in spite of the Dalloways and Mr. Pepper and father and my aunts. It's this huge internal liberation.
Wow, okay, so she has this breakthrough moment just before they land in South America.
Mm-hmm.
So they arrive at this place, Santa Marina. It's a fictional British resort colony. Does that newfound identity survive contact with, well, more society?
Yeah.
Or is it just another cage?
Well, the cage kind of gets rebuilt immediately, just on a smaller scale. Santa Marina is depicted as pretty stifling, very conventional. It becomes the new backdrop for exploring these themes.
And we meet a new set of characters there, the younger generation trying to figure things out.
Exactly. There are three key figures who represent different approaches to finding meaning or identity. First, there's Terrence Hewitt.
The writer.
The aspiring writer, yeah. He's trying for depth, for real honesty. He even tells Rachel all his flaws. He admits he's lazy, lustful, bit of a snob.
Why?
It seems like a desperate attempt to be truly known by her, not just admired from a distance. He's looking for genuine connection.
Doesn't he ask her if love starts with wanting to just keep talking to someone?
He does. That idea of continuous conversation, intellectual and emotional, as the basis for love, it's quite lovely, actually.
Okay, so Terrence is one type. Who else?
Then you have St. John Hurst. He's the pure intellectual. Very clever, maybe a bit arrogant.
Does he connect with people?
Not really. He admits he's infinitely cleverer than Hewitt, but then adds, almost sadly, that people never liked him.
Yeah.
He's kind of stuck, too, trying to decide between a career at the bar or aiming to be the top academic at Cambridge.
All intellect, little connection. And the third?
Evelyn Murgatroyd. She's the activist. She's pretty unimpressed with the men around her.
What's her critique?
She finds they have no dignity, they've no courage, they've nothing but their beastly passions. Strong words.
So what does she do?
She sort of rejects the artsy talk of their circle and starts a Saturday club. It feels like a gentle jab at Woolf's own Bloomsbury set, maybe.
What do they discuss?
Real things, Evelyn says. Women's suffrage, the white slave traffic. Her driving force is what she calls the effort to see clearly. Critical thinking as activism.
Interesting. But amidst all these people trying to define themselves, how is Rachel doing? Is she still feeling isolated?
Very much so.
Yeah.
There's a line where she observes, a girl is more lonely than a boy. No one cares in the least what she does.
Oof, that hits hard.
Yeah. And that feeling, that lack of external expectation, weirdly reinforces her desire for anonymity, for that freedom she connects with nature, like being the wind or the sea, untouchable, unknowable.
That longing for untouchable freedom, it feels ominous leading up to the end. She and Terrence, they do fall in love, right?
They do. They declare their love during an expedition up a river. It's another key scene.
And does the sea metaphor come back?
Absolutely. They find their connection in darkness again, feeling like they're sitting perfectly silent at the bottom of the world. It's deep, profound intimacy, but also profoundly isolating, cut off.
And that isolation becomes final.
Tragically, yes.
Yeah.
Soon after they get engaged, Rachel falls ill with a fever and dies quite suddenly.
Which feels abrupt in a modern novel, maybe.
Yeah, a bit shocking perhaps to us. But the sources do point out that sudden, fatal illnesses like that were, unfortunately, by no means improbable at that time.
But the timing is what's symbolically crucial, isn't it? When does she get sick?
Precisely as Terence is reading aloud to her from Milton's Comus.
And Comus is about?
It's about the nymph Sabrina, who escapes an attempted assault by essentially dissolving into a river to protect her virginity, her virtue. She becomes part of the water.
So Woolf explicitly links Rachel's death to this idea of escaping into water, escaping violation or possession.
It seems unmistakable, which leads to the big questions readers have grappled with ever since. Why does Rachel die? Symbolically, I mean.
Is it an escape? Is she running from the banal married life she saw glimpses of?
Or maybe running from Terence himself, his growing desire, as the novel puts it, to possess and know all of her.
Which might feel like another kind of cage to her.
Exactly. Or is it something broader? A more generalized terror of love and marriage that her fragile, newly forming self just couldn't navigate.
And the book doesn't give a clear answer.
Nope, it leaves all those possibilities hanging, which is part of its power, I think.
Wow.
The final images of her are key, though. In her delirium, her final dream state.
Where does she end up?
She feels safe, cocooned. She imagines falling into a deep pool of sticky water, which eventually closed over her head. She's curled up at the bottom of the sea.
Back to the bottom of the sea, stillness, calm.
The black vacuum she seemed to crave earlier. Physically, she dies. But psychologically, perhaps, she reaches that state of absolute stillness, free from confusion and external demands.
It's intense. No wonder it made waves when it came
Oh,
out.
it was a critical success. E.M. Forster, another great novelist, really admired it. He said it showed beautifully that it is for a voyage into solitude that man was created. A bit bleak, maybe.
But it captures that tension. So bringing it all together, The Voyage Out is this incredible blend of sharp social critique, deep psychological diving, and this quest for an authentic self against huge odds.
And that struggle, that internal battle between fitting in and being true to yourself, trying to become one's own person when society pushes back so hard, that's incredibly relevant for anyone, really. It's a template for understanding that conflict.
Okay, so for a final thought, Woolf's original title for the book was apparently Melambrosia,
Yeah, which comes from Greek and suggests something like a difficult journey, maybe a troubled crossing.
a troubled crossing. Rachel's crossing ends in death, but psychologically she finds refuge curled up at the bottom of the sea.
So the question we leave you with is this. Thinking about that difficult voyage, did Rachel's final retreat into silence and stillness represent failure? Or was it, in a strange, tragic way, the ultimate preservation of that self she'd just begun to define? A way to ensure she remained fundamentally unpossessed?
A fatal escape, perhaps, but an escape nonetheless, something to think about.